Okay, so after a good night's sleep, today we'll dive even deeper into the fresh Mass Effect 4/5 content that dropped during N7 Day. And oh boy, do we have stuff to talk about. The first thing on the list is of course the distorted recording that I talked about in yesterday's video. Now, while I was editing said video, someone had already decoded the hidden message beneath the distorted sound. And here's what it sounds like.
Like the secret. How did we miss this? Exactly. The Council will be furious. Although they should know by now not to underestimate human defiance. Perhaps was their most endearing trait.
Okay, so we got a couple of things from this message. First off, Liara seems to have a pretty major role in the next game. Secondly, she's talking to, well, wouldn't you know it, Geth. Now, the return of the Geth was something that we've all been theorizing about since N7 Day 2021, as Michael Gambel and the Mass Effect team dropped the first official poster back then, which displayed a very interesting looking crater that's in the shape of our favorite AIs. And now it seems that we can finally put the idea to rest that the Geth are returning as villains. Unless Liara is gonna be a main baddie, which I very much doubt. Michael Gambel did, however, confirm a part of what Liara is saying with this tweet. Quote, although they should know by now not to underestimate human defiance. Liara Tassoni, Doctor, Shadowbroker, and Redacted. Now, what we can gather from this is that either A, humanity is up to no good, or B, humanity is defying the Intergalactic Council yet again for some reason. And who do we know that constantly defied the Council? Well, Commander Shepard, of course. But then again, we've seen no inclination that either Mark Meer nor Jennifer Hale are returning as our beloved commanders. This was even something that Jennifer Hale herself brought up during the N7 Day reunion.
Yeah, and I will say out loud, because everybody's wondering, we don't know what's next. Like I don't, Mark can speak for himself. I have no idea, but yes, I would show up in a hot minute.
You know,
I agree, but only under any circumstances.
So, what does all this mean? Well, again, A, she's either telling the truth and Commander Shepard just won't return in the next game at all.
Hello, darkness, my old friend.
B, she's telling the truth, but the next Mass Effect isn't far enough into production yet to where she's done anything yet. Mind you that she doesn't say anything about having been contacted by Bioware. Or C, she's doing what most actors have to do with massive roles like this. She has to lie. And no, before you say anything, I'm not calling Jennifer a liar, but it's just what generally happens in the acting business. And the same could go for both Mark and Jennifer in that they're either under NDA or they've just been told not to say anything. And as we all know, Shepard's return is the biggest question for the next game. So Bioware and Mark and Jennifer holding onto that information is definitely the smartest thing to do in order to build more hype. In any case, the lovely Ali Hillis will be returning as the voice of Liara, and she's just as excited as we are. Hell, you know what? Bring everybody back. God damn it. Now, moving on with the actual material we got yesterday, the video of the mass relay actually hides a few more secrets that I didn't go over. First of all, we can see a small ship that makes its way to the massive construct, and it's pretty evident to me that this is either the new ship that we got a glimpse of on the official poster, or even just the Normandy SR2. Why I say that is during the footage, you can see a weird distortion effect which could be the result of a small ship activating its stealth drive as it disappears into the construct. Meaning that what we're looking at here is actually surveillance footage from the game. But there's something else. Something that could be absolutely insane if it's true. As I mentioned yesterday, the text down to the left corner here reads that this is indeed some form of mass relay. But here's the thing, the relay seems to have a designated ship captain. Are you seeing what I'm seeing here? No, not the fact that the ship captain's name is a combination of a Quarian name with a human surname, but this may not just be a mass relay we're looking at. This is very likely to be a ship with a built-in mass relay. It wouldn't surprise me at all if this was the case, since having mass relays that can activate their own FTLs would just be amazing. And this would open the door to how exactly the story of Mass Effect Andromeda could still be involved somehow. Who knows, maybe the relay ship is supposed to be a gateway between the galaxies somehow. I also want to mention the fact that the Mass Effect team hasn't exactly been shy about specifically talking to both OG fans and Andromeda fans, as the blog post puts emphasis on calling us both commanders and pathfinders. And hell, even NASA themselves made a post linking to their video on the Pathfinder mission on Mars, so I do think that this implies that there's a bigger connection that we're not really seeing yet. Anyway, let me know what you guys think of that. Now, let's move on from the distorted video to another surprise teaser that Michael dropped on Twitter before the day was over. And yes, we have another piece of art that looks strangely similar to either Thessia or Ilium, with sky cars all over the place and looming skyscrapers in the background. And to the right here, we see the back of a Turian, as well as a Solarian and Krogan further away. And if we look really closely, it does look like they're using breathing masks, which means that the atmosphere they're in isn't completely safe somehow. But the most interesting detail for me here is the letters here to the right, where it says Solar something something. Now, some of you may have instantly recognized this, as this is likely Solar Electronics, which is a store that pops up pretty frequently throughout the original trilogy, especially in Mass Effect 2, where you can find this store sign on Omega and the Citadel. So the question naturally becomes, could this be Omega or the Citadel? And to be fair, the red copper tint we see in the background is pretty reminiscent of Omega, and it seems that the individuals we see here might be wearing breathing masks. It's more likely to be Omega. But it is also possible that this is Ilium or Thessia because of the overall architecture. And if this is the same place as the other piece of art we got yesterday, then it's most likely one of the Asari planets. Another thing to note here is that since we're seeing this very recognizable store sign, it's more likely than ever that we're returning to a Milky Way galaxy not too far into the future after Mass Effect 3. Unless Solar Electronics haven't changed their design for another 1,000 years, which, well, that would be a little bit strange. I also want to point out that the message in the corner of the distorted video also has numbers here that seem to display the date that this scene plays out, which seems to be the 7th of November, 2190. I see what you did there, Bioware. And if this is the case, then the next Mass Effect could be set roughly 4 years after the Reaper War ended, that being 2186, which would put us smack in the middle of a galaxy that's still rebuilding. My own personal theory is that this relay ship, allegedly, is being built by none other than Cerberus, which is why we're seeing this little stealth frigate making its way towards the construction. Maybe it's to steal their plans or to sabotage it. Maybe it has nothing to do with Cerberus at all. But it wouldn't surprise me if they're returning as a villainous faction yet again. Especially since they're so keen on using Reaper tech to advance their goals. Reaper tech that's no doubt spread across the entire galaxy by now. Another thing related to the distorted video is the fact that the file name is called SA Intercept Cytherium System Doc 314. Now, I've already mentioned that 314 is likely a reference to the First Contact War, but SA here likely stands for Systems Alliance, and Intercept basically affirms that this is indeed surveillance footage. The Cytherium system is something that is completely unheard of in the Mass Effect trilogy. But a fun thing to mention here is that Cytherium is an extinct species of giant otter that existed a few million years ago. So are we fighting giant otters this time, or can we expect one to be our squad mates? Jokes aside, one last thing to note with these concept art pieces is the distinct lack of Reapers. As we saw in the Control and Synthesis endings, the Reapers were helping with the rebuilding of the galaxy, but so far all we've seen are dead Reapers in the teaser trailer. Alright guys, that's all for today, but do remember to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already to not miss out on any new Mass Effect news or, theory videos, because I got plenty of those coming. And I just want to say thank you all so very much for supporting me and supporting the channel. You guys are amazing. As always, see you in the next video, and have a great day. Mr. Olton, signing out.